Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I am a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. At the end of the video, if you could do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. And feel free to leave comments. I always do my best to try to respond to them in a timely manner, and I always enjoy hearing what you have to say. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about two classic Beatle collections. These are both albums that have previously released material. There's nothing new here, but these are greatest hits packages. They're best ofs. The first one is called The Beatles 1962 to 1966, otherwise known as the Red Album, and then this one is called The Beatles 1967 to 1970, otherwise known as the Blue Album. Both of these were originally released back in April of 1973. I wanted to talk about them because I've been trying to just show you maybe some other albums other than just the regular Beatles catalog, that you might have some interest in. Unlike some of these other 1970s and 80s collections that have come out of the Beatles, like Rock and Roll Music and Love Songs and Real Music, these albums continue to be a part of their catalog. And I know that when I was growing up, I just thought of them that way. In fact, this is the first album that I ever bought, period. I bought this with my own money. This is the original copy that I bought as a kid. I think I might have been about 11 years old. So let's talk about these. As far as chart action goes on these, the US album got up to number 3 on Billboard, though it got up to number 1 on Cashbox. In the UK, it got up to number 3, and then in September of '93, when these were released on CD for the first time, this one got up to number 3. And then this one got up to number 1 on the US charts, and it got up to number 2 in the UK. And then when this was released on CD for the first time in September of '93, it got up to number 4. This album, both of these albums were compiled by the Beatle manager Alan Klein, and I think it just did a very good job with it. Of course, there are some songs that you kind of question, why are they not on there? For example, what they chose to do is chose to not have any covers on these albums, cover versions. For example, the song Twist and Shout was an Isley Brother cover that the Beatles did. Well, it got up to number 2 here in the States back in 1964. So you would think, yeah, it probably could have been on here. What this does is this presents each album, the songs in chronological order. I like that. It has not only some really big hits from the Beatles, but also some standout album tracks. The albums were pretty much produced by George Martin, all of the songs originally, except for 2 here on this one, which you have Across the Universe and The Long and Winding Road. They have producer credits to Phil Spector, even though he came in and did post-production for Let It Be. Let me tell you, the reason that these came out when they did is because there was a bootleg that was available via mail order on TV. It was called Alpha Omega, and if I'm not mistaken, it also, I think it was several volumes, but what it did is it even contained solo hits from the Beatles too. Now, at one point, the Blue Album, they were considering doing that, but they decided not to, and quite honestly, I'm glad they kept it separate. But the print advertising back in the day was basically declaring that, as it said, the only authorized collection of the Beatles. That was both of these. The photographer that took both of these photos was a gentleman named Angus McBean. This was for the photo shoot for the UK album, their first album, Please Please Me. This is an unused photo from those sessions. I originally always thought, yeah, that's just the same identical one, but I remember looking at it at the store saying, yeah, they are different, and it is an unused one. And then this one was taken 6 years later at the insistence of John Lennon from the same photographer, same place and everything. And this was originally going to be the album cover for Get Back. That was later scrapped, and then they changed the idea, and turned it into Let It Be. But anyway, this is at the building for their record label, EMI House. EMI's London headquarters in Manchester Square. And basically, this building, you see them looking down the stairwell inside the EMI House. Unfortunately, this building was demolished in 1995. That's too bad. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you the album a little bit better here so you could see it. Okay. And both albums have the same photos. So this album has the later day, but then you turn it around and it has that picture on it. Alright, let me show you the inner gate photo. This was from the Mad Day Out photo session of July 28th, 1968. And I've always thought it was really cool having the Beatles taking pictures with, you know, the children. I always thought that was really cool. And I want to make sure. There we go. In that photo, there were two gentlemen, Stephen Goldbat and Don McLennan. I think Don McLennan was the one who actually took that inside gatefold photo for both albums. So basically the artwork and everything is identical. The album design is by Tom Wilkes, and I love this. This was the 70s. You got the, you know, little bubbly letters. I just love the look. I think it's really cool. Let me show you the vinyl on both of these. So that's that one. And then this is the blue album. Okay. And then both of them had they had album sleeve. The sleeves had the lyrics to the songs, and you could sing along to your favorite song if you wanted to. All right. So, in 1978, 5 years after these were released, these were also on colored vinyl. So you could have got this on red vinyl, and you could have got this on blue vinyl. So if you're interested, you might be able to find copies of those. So the red album had 12 #1 hits, and it clocked in, well, it had 26 songs on it, and it clocked in at 62 minutes and 34 seconds. And then the blue album had 8 #1 hits, and it clocked in at 99 minutes and 40 seconds. And like I said, I like the fact that they're in chronological order. I'm going to read you what's on here so you get a good idea. But in my opinion, these are the best greatest hits packages that I've seen that you can get of the Beatles. So the red album starts out with Love Me Do, Please Please Me, From Me to You, She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, All My Loving, Can't Buy Me Love, A Hard Day's Night, And I Love Her, 8 Days a Week, I Feel Fine, Ticket to Ride, Yesterday, and then you have Help, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, We Can Work It Out, Day Tripper, Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown, Nowhere Man, Michelle, In My Life, Girl, Paperback Rider, Eleanor Rigby, and then Yellow Submarine. And then for the Blue Album, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band, With a Little Help from My Friends, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, A Day in the Life, All You Need Is Love, I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, The Fool on the Hill, Magical Mystery Tour, Lady Madonna, Hey Jude, and Revolution. And then the second disc of this 28 song collection has Back in the USSR, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Obla Dee Obla Da, Get Back, Don't Let Me Down, The Ballad of John and Yoko, Old Brown Shoe, Here Comes the Sun, Come Together, Something, Octopus's Garden, Let It Be, Across the Universe, and then The Long and Winding Road. Okay? What was interesting with the Red Album, for example, is 7 of the songs are in mono. So they mixed things a little differently in those days. At the beginning in the 60s, a lot of people had smaller record players that just had one speaker. So in order to make them sound better, the best sound in that, they would do what they would refer to as a mono mix. And then there were also stereo mixes that they a lot of times were doing at the same time. Later mono became obsolete, and then stereo was what people wanted. But it's interesting, of the songs in the Red Album, 7 of them are in mono, even though 5 of those 7 at one point also had stereo mixes by the time this came out. So what they did as far as the mixes, the US pretty much retained the mixes that the United States market would have grown up with and would have been accustomed to with the Capitol mixes, and then the UK pretty much used theirs. There are some differences though. For example, you've got Help. The US version has the James Bond intro in it because we had the Help soundtrack. So you have George Martin's orchestra doing the James Bond intro a little bit at the beginning of the song, and that was always a cool thing. I Feel Fine, the UK version, you've got the whispering intro. So if you listen to that just a little bit, you'll hear some whispering. And then the song From Me to You, this was the first US release, the first time that it appeared on a Capitol record. I think it was on a VJ label before that. So that was kind of a point of interest. And then A Hard Day's Night. This is the first time that it is on Capitol. Before it was from the soundtrack here in the States from the United Artists album. A Hard Day's Night. And then the Blue Album, I thought this was pretty interesting. The Spanish version, the international version for that, they replace Ballad of John and Yoko with One After 909, because at the time Ballad of John and Yoko was banned in that country because of using the word Christ in the lyric. And then A Day in the Life, what they have is later on when the CD came out in '93, what they did is they had the clean fade-in version that was from John Lennon's Imagine soundtrack. George Martin was, instrumental, basically supervised that. They decided to put that on the CD. And then Hey Jude, this is interesting. Hey Jude is actually, from what I understand, 8 seconds shorter. So if you time that, you'll notice that. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell you guys about these. I think that, these are just definitely absolute wonderful collections. I wanted to thank you very much for watching my video, and you have a good day. Take care.